So when it comes to losing fat, there's one major factor that separates the successes from the failures. It's not motivation, it's not your metabolism, it's not even the diet that you follow. It's something that every person, regardless of their experience, will have to overcome at one point or another. And if you don't have the tools to deal with it, your attempts to lose fat will end in tatters. This factor is, of course, hunger. Hunger has the capacity to make or break your ability to get shredded. And most people are entirely unaware of the things that they are doing on a daily basis that is drastically increasing the amount of hunger that they need to deal with. And if they made just a few small changes, the likelihood of them successfully completing their fat loss phase from start to finish would be massively improved. Now, the first thing to understand that when we're trying to lose fat, we are essentially starving ourselves. We are giving our body less food, less energy than it needs to perform its daily duties, so it's forced to extract the energy that it needs from the fat that we hold on our body. And the less food, the less energy that you give your body, the more that it needs to take from fat. Now naturally this begs the question, well, if I just eat as little as humanly possible, won't I lose as much fat as possible? And in theory, yes, that's absolutely true. And there's even plenty of research to back up the fact that if you eat just a few hundred calories per day, you lose a shit ton of weight and very quickly. But here lies the first place where people go wrong. The first mistake that people make that sends their hunger through the roof. In general, the bigger the deficit that you consistently create, the more hunger that you're going to have to deal with. And initially you might be fine eating 1000 or 1500 calories below your maintenance, but the longer that you do this, the more your hunger will accumulate, to the point that you either can't keep going, or you one day find yourself demolishing the entire biscuit press in an uncontrollable binge. But on the flip side, if you consume an amount of calories that's so little below your maintenance, yeah, you're probably going to feel pretty satisfied, but you're also going to see results at such a slow rate that you lose motivation after 2 weeks. So to figure out the amount of calories that you need to eat to maximize both the satiety that you feel, but also the results that you get, then head to the link in the description and use my calorie calculator. The second problem that people create is having no coherent structure with the meals they eat. They head into every day not knowing what they're going to have for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, eating something completely different at completely different times of day. You see, our bodies, they love rhythm, they love routine. It's precisely the reason that you tend to get hungry at the same times every day. You tend to wake up at the same times every morning and get sleepy at the same times every night. But the more disorganized that you are with your meals and your meal times, and the less consistent your food choices tend to be, the less predictable your hunger is going to be, increasing the likelihood of you constantly needing to grab just something light to get you by, as opposed to opting for something that's going to leave you as full and energized as possible. You see, a protein bar might be 200-300 calories, and while it might feel small, it's still taking up a decent chunk of your overall calorie goal, but it's not doing much in terms of leaving you satisfied. Now for the rest of the day, you're going to have 300 calories less to work with, but a very similar amount of the hunger that you originally had to deal with. So if you want my advice, eat the exact same meals, or similar, at similar times every day. It makes a big difference. Mistake number 3 that significantly increases the likelihood of someone sacking off their fat loss efforts after a week are the decisions that they make with the foods that they eat. They pour a bowl of cereal for breakfast because it's the quickest thing. They grab a meal deal from Tesco because they forgot to make a lunch. And they get a microwave meal from Lidl on the way home from work because they can't be arsed to cook something with a little bit of fiber and a little bit of protein. And while yes, as long as you nail your calories, you will be successful losing fat. If you consistently do so using highly processed, low fiber, low protein and calorie dense food items, you'll be balls deep in a fish and chip by the weekend, wondering why it's less than 7 days into your fat loss attempts and you already feel like shit. What you put in your body will have a major impact in how you feel, how you perform, and how hungry that you get. Meals with fuck all protein, fuck all fiber, leave you with virtually zero chance of seeing significant fat loss success. You need to change your mentality around the meals that you eat. Plan out, at the very least, the protein source that you're going to have for your breakfast, for your lunch, and for your dinner. Then start to build the rest of the meal around that protein source. Your protein for breakfast could be eggs. So with that, you could have a slim bagel or a couple of slices of toast. Your protein source for lunch might be a chicken breast. So with that, you could have a wrap, some veg, or maybe even pasta and rice. As well as this, the more fruit, the more veg that you include in your diet, the fuller and the overall better you'll feel. And your toilet will thank you. Now, the fourth mistake might sound slightly counterintuitive, because traditionally people associate higher levels of activity and higher amounts of calories burnt with increased amount of hunger experienced. But for a lot of people, this is actually not the case. In fact, the busier that you are, the more that you're out and about keeping yourself occupied, the less time that you have to think about how hungry you might be. And is it any surprise that hangovers are the days where people pig out on junk food the most? Yeah, you feel like crap, but you're also just lying around with nothing else to think about other than what takeaway you'll order for your tea. An idle mind is a hungry mind. And the more that you can do to keep moving, the less time you spend sitting around with nothing to do, the less you'll be thinking about what snack you'll have next. When we're sedentary for extended periods of time, it's usually not that we're legitimately hungry. We're either just bored or we eat in response to stress. And food just gives us something to do. And finally, a massively overlooked factor that influences the amount of hunger that you'll experience on a fat loss phase is something that everyone already knows to be true. You see, everyone knows the importance of sleep. And everyone is well aware that most of us do not get enough. But sufficient sleep is not only important for appropriately regulating your appetite hormones, but it also ensures that you don't constantly wake up feeling like shit, looking for a cheap dopamine hit from a tasty calorie-dense treat. Now, not everyone is blessed with the opportunity to get the ideal amount of sleep per night, especially parents, shift workers, or people working towards a deadline. But everyone at the very least should strive to get the most amount of sleep that's possible for them. It might be 5 hours, but ideally it's something over 7. Be consistent, be disciplined with your bedtime, put down the phone at night, and for God's sake, invest in an eye mask and a set of earplugs. They're cheap. It could be the difference in 8 weeks between you walking around with a chiseled set of 6-pack abs, or you still nurturing, still feeding, and still looking at the spare tire around your waist with disgust. Now, an honourable mention is, of course, caffeine. And while you shouldn't strive to drink as much as I do, caffeine, when used strategically, can act as a temporary appetite suppressant, helping you through parts of the day where hunger might be getting the upper hand. Hunger is a normal part and parcel of the fat loss process. And regardless of whether or not you implement the tips in this video, there'll be times where you simply just need to push through. Maintain a very clear image in your mind of what it is that you're working towards. Don't fear hunger, don't pathologize hunger, just deal with it the best you can. Because once you drop those 8 to 10 kgs you've been meaning to lose for a long time now, it'll all be worth it. And if you want to know the exact step-by-step process that I use to drop 10 kg in 8 weeks, then I suggest you give this video a watch. Adios.